Hi everyone, my name is Salim, and today I am introducing you to my research on immunity through ages. I mean, how cultural and traditional immunization practices shape modern immunization practices, and I will be focusing on the role of variolation in shaping use of modern vaccines. The motivation for this study is coming from the fact that modern vaccination saves millions of lives each year, and it leads to better health outcomes, and the better health and again contributes towards better productivity, better learning, and long-term economic growth. Though vaccines are considered as important for better health, better productivity, and it also contributes towards economic growth, but the receptivity to modern vaccines varies across the globe. In some parts of the world, we see higher vaccines uptake, whereas it remains low or in other parts of the world. And I assume that communities where practices like variolations happened before modern vaccines, they would be open to modern health practices like vaccines, and they would have more vaccinations today. Um, Similarly, if you look into these two graphs, both of them shows like the left one shows worldwide infant mortality rate with vaccines and without vaccines, and the right one shows lives that was saved with modern vaccines. So both of these figures shows how helpful our modern vaccines is saving lives. Variolation, which was practiced in different parts of the world, it was like derived from horticulture procedures for inserting a bud into a plant, and the practice involved cutaneous inoculation of smallpox pustules. And for the first time, variolation is said to be reported from China, and it was like performed as a secret rite. And then from China and other Asian countries, it spread to other parts of the world, including Europe, the Great Britain, and North America and Africa. In this picture, you can see a person in the upper picture. A virulator is taking fluid from a person who is ill from smallpox disease, and is in the lower picture, they're inserting that material into a healthy person to develop immunity in their body. So the virulation practice also involved different methods in different parts of the world. Like in some parts, it was like the material was inserted through nostrils. In other parts, it was inserted through fistule from the patient into and inoculating to arm of the healthy person. In some other parts, it was performed through dried smallpox pustules material through scratches on bodies of a healthy person. So these were the different techniques and methods through which virulation was performed. In this picture, we can see a virulator's kit through which a virulator was like performing virulation. So this virulation was like not performed through any single particular method, but its method was like varying in different parts of the world. And it said that it is actually virulation which like led towards modern vaccines, because it was Jenner who suffered from smallpox in childhood and also went through virulation. He noticed that people who suffer from smallpox, they are resistant to people who went through cowpox, they have better immunity against smallpox disease. So Edward Jenner took materials from body of maid, milkmaid, and inserted that material into another healthy person, and then exposed that person to smallpox. through a virulation, and he noticed that the new person has little consequences of smallpox, which means that the impact of smallpox are not very severe as compared to others. And when he performed this practice multiple times, he gave it the name of vaccinations and mentioned that um, uh, immunizing people through this way can protect them against diseases, is was proved through smallpox and cowpox immunization methods. The research questions are uh, that do areas with evidence of correlation have better modern vaccines uptake, and do areas where correlation was performed they have lower child mortality today? And this research contributes to literature in different ways. It's the first study which focuses on the role of virulation and use of modern vaccines. It's the first empirical study. Second, it contributes to different threads of literature like determinant of vaccines, effect of cultural and institutional factors on health, the role of historical factors in health disparities, and also to the literature on economics of religion and culture by providing evidence about indirect effect of religious and cultural norms on public health decisions. And it also contributes to the literature on the role of trade routes in shaping contemporary developments. I use data from different sources. Firstly, um, I use data from Hubbard 1975 to identify areas and tribes where virulation was performed. Secondly, I use demographic health surveys for empirical analysis and data from Mihafulu's and for uh, historical trade routes, and data from humanitarian data exchange for health facilities and locations of health facilities. This figure shows different African tribes and their way of virulation, like some of them using scabs, other using arms or forehead or other different parts of the body. So the virulation method was like different across areas and across tribes. The and the summary statistics shows that on average, areas with variolation, they have better or higher modern vaccines uptake as compared to areas where variolation was like not common or for which I don't have any evidence of variolation. Um, as an empirical strategy in the first part, I use simple OLS for empirical estimation, where uh, modern vaccines and child mortality as the key variable, outcome variable, or key dependent variable in different models. And I use um, um, country waiver fixed effects and try fixed effect. And also I control for latitude and longitude to uh, uh, control for any potential effect of geographic factors or location factors. And beta 1 is the main estimator which captures the effect of virulation on modern vaccines. This table shows the effect of virulation on key vaccines. For the overall vaccine, the panel A represents effect of virulation on overall vaccination, and panel B represents effect of virulation on BCG vaccines. And column A, column 1, I do not incorporate coordinates, fixed effects, and controls, whereas in the column 2 and 3, I include geographic coordinates and household level control variables, respectively. In all of these specifications, we can see that um, virulation has significant positive effect on overall vaccination in BCG vaccines, and also in panel C and D, we can see that virulation has significant positive effect on DPT and polio vaccines, which shows that uh, virulation has a positive impact on uptake of modern vaccines. As a robustness check, I estimate the effect of virulation on modern vaccines by dropping each country from the model in sequence. Like in the first column, I drop Benin from the sample and see the effect of virulation on modern vaccines in the remaining six countries. Similarly, in second column, I drop Cameroon and then see the effect of virulation on modern vaccines on the remaining six countries. And again, it shows that virulation has positive effect and positive and consistent effect on modern vaccination. Um, to care of any potential endogeneity concerns, like it can be like areas where virulation was performed, those people were already well aware about immunization, so they used virulation or those other endogeneity concerns. I use an instrumental variable to see the causal effect of virulation on modern vaccines. So, as evidences show that virulation spread through Muslim traders, and some studies show that virulation was common among Muslims, and there are also evidences um, that trade routes play an important role in contemporary developments and contemporary outcomes. So I use distance to 1800 trade routes as an instrument for the effect of virulation on modern vaccines. In this figure, you can see that areas where virulation was performed, they are closer to trade routes. Um, and in the first stage, I estimate effect of distance of trade routes and virulation, and then I run virulation on modern vaccines. So you can see in column one, which is the first stage results, that distance to trade routes has negative effect on virulation, which means like when you move away from distance to trade from trade routes, virulation is occurrence of virulation is lower, and when you are closer to trade routes, the virulation increases. And in the second stage, you can see that virulation has positive impact on modern vaccines, as shown in column two. And this effect is higher than the OLS results potentially because the simple regression was not able to capture the role of culture or the role of locations and other factors in explaining the impact of virulation on modern vaccines. Similarly, the instrumental variable approach also shows us that virulation has positive effect on each of the modern vaccines, including BCG, DPT, and polio, though the effect is statistically not significant. To look into the direct effect of distance to trade routes on variables like health facilities and vaccination and others, I didn't see any significant effect of distance to trade routes uh, on um, any of the relevant outcomes, any of the relevant aspects of household or individual, any of the household or individual variables, which shows that our instrument is potentially exogenous. It has no direct relationship on any of these variables. In the next stage, I assess the impact of virulation and child mortality because I assume that virulation would have shaped community level understanding of disease prevention and also areas where virulation was performed. They have like cultural belief in preventive interventions against disease, and also vaccines like BCG and polio confer lifelong immunity to the targeted disease and reduce mortality. So I estimate in the next step, I estimate effect of virulation on child mortality. And as you can see in table 6, virulation has negative effect on child mortality, but the effect, the magnitude of the effect decreases as we move from column 1 to column 2, column 2 to column 3 and 4, with inclusion of modern vaccines. And then in column 5, I include relevant household and individual level control variables, which shows that of column 2, 3, and 4 shows that virulation operates through the effect of virulation operates through modern vaccines. Similarly, in the table 7, I show the effect of virulation and child mortality using instrumental variable, though the effect of child virulation and child mortality is again negative as was in the case of OLS, but the effect is statistically insignificant. To see heterogeneity in the impact, I study the effect of virulation with respect to religion of the households and location of the households, because studies show that uh, uh, and some studies shows that virulation was common in Muslims. Similarly, some study shows that it was performed by people in church, and also there are evidences that virulation was widespread in remote areas. So that's why I study the effect of virulation with respect to religion and location of the households. And panel A, you can see that virulation has higher and significant effect of in the case of Muslim households as compared to Christians, and also you can see it for each of the individual vaccines. Like panel B shows the effect of virulation and BCG vaccines for Muslims and Christians. And similarly, we can also see in panel C that virulation has higher impact on polio vaccines for Muslims. And also, we can see that uh, the effect is consistently higher for Muslims as compared to Christian households, which is potentially because uh, the virulation was common among Muslims as compared to others, and also the baseline vaccination is lower among Muslims as compared to Christians. Similarly, we can see that virulation was like the effect of virulation on modern vaccines is higher in the case of rural areas as compared to urban areas. It's also the case that virulation was like more common in rural areas as compared to urban areas. I conclude that deeply rooted cultural and traditional health practices affect modern day public health intervention, and I establish a causal link between historical, cultural, and traditional practices and health outcomes. The takeaway is policymakers must take care of cultural, traditional, and religious factors while devising and implementing public health policies. Thank you.